We're here live. Casey, are we live? Okay. Just give me a thumbs up when we're live. Okay, so we are live. We're here live at the UFC 245 Media Day face-off. Up first. Oh, as people move out of the way. Punaleja Soriano and Oscar Pichota kick off the main card, middleweight clash. UFC 245. This is Jose Youngs live on the scene at the UFC 245 Media Day in Las Vegas. That was the first fight, middleweights, Punaleja Soriano and Oscar Pichota. Up next is Jessica I and Vivian Araujo, women's flyweight scrap. Jessica I, of course, is looking to bounce back from her knockout loss to champion Valentina Shevchenko. Vivian Araujo is coming off a win over a former Bantamweight title challenger, Alexis Davis, at UFC 240. She's looking to continue her winning ways. Jessica I is looking to get back into the win column. And up next is Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France in a very interesting men's flyweight scrap as they hug it out. Moreno is, of course, coming off that draw at UFC Mexico. Fight he thought he won. Kai Kara France been on a tear lately representing New Zealand. I believe this is actually his first fight in America, so a very important flyweight scrap on the prelims of UFC 245. And closing out the Fight Pass prelims is a featherweight scrap between Chase Hooper and Daniel Tamer, one of the two Tamer brothers in the UFC. As we get a little bit of friendly sportsmanship between there of Daniel Tamer trying to psych out Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper not taking the bait. Dana White did, of course, as they shake it out. So it's all friendly between both men. Up next, welterweight veterans would be an understatement. Matt Brown and Ben Saunders. I am absolutely amazed that neither man has fought each other before, I should say. Had a very lengthy conversation with Ben Saunders. He said Matt Brown's name never crossed his desk, but him being a veteran of The Ultimate Fighter, Matt Brown being a veteran of The Ultimate Fighter, he's very much looking forward to facing, in his words, a samurai and Matt Brown. And up next, middleweights Ian Heinisch and Omari Akhmedov. And another important middleweight clash, Ian Heinisch looking to get back on the win column after coming up short to Derek Brunson. Akhmedov looking to keep his unbeaten streak alive. He's coming off that win over Zach Cummings. Before that was Tim Bosch. And before that, he had a draw against Marvin Vettori in his return to middleweight. So another one of Ian Heinisch looking to get back on the win column, and Akhmedov looking to keep his unbeaten streak going. And then, if I am correct, yes, I am. A very important scrap between Ketlen Vieira and Irene Aldana. Very important bantamweight fight. Ketlen Vieira is one of the highest ranked women in the bantamweight division. Irene Aldana only has split decision losses lately, so don't be surprised if the winner of this gets a title shot next after this fight. That if, of course, it's Amanda Nunes loses to Jermaine, you'd have to assume she gets an immediate rematch, but both believe a title shot is next with a win. And then Jeff Neal versus Mike Perry in a very exciting welterweight fight. Jeff Neal coming off that extremely exciting fight and victory over Nico Price. Mike Perry hasn't fought since his nose injury to Vicente Luque, where his nose ended up being on the other side of his face. Jeff Neal had, again, that spectacular win over Nico Price. So don't blink. That's on my short list for Fight of the Nights or Performance of the Nights. And then Peter Yan and Uriah Faber. Another one of the many bantamweight fights on this card. Uriah Faber, a former WC champion, longtime veteran of the sport. Peter Yan, one of the new, fresher faces of the division, tearing through the division. This is very much a up-and-coming bantamweight against Uriah Faber, as Uriah Faber stands him down. Peter Yan, Russian-born fighter, giving him no ground. Both men, I think, would be on the short list for a title shot after this, but given how the landscape of the bantamweight division is, a lot has to play out beforehand. And speaking of important bantamweight fights, former title challenger Marlon Moraes, former World Series of Fighting champion as well, facing Joe's former featherweight champion Jose Aldo in Jose Aldo's bantamweight debut. Jose Aldo says he has no problem facing another Brazilian. This is his first cut down to bantamweight. He's looking very gaunt and sucked out, but he said he doesn't mind the questions about it. He didn't give me a number on where he is now or how the weight cut is going. He just said business as usual, but he is convinced that if he defeats Marlon Reyes on Saturday, he will fight bantamweight champion Henry Cejudo whenever the champion returns, given that he is a former champion superstar and Marlon Reyes is the number one contender or number one ranked fighter. So Jose Aldo is very adamant that a win will get him a title shot. And speaking of champions, our first title fight up on the stage now, bantamweight and featherweight champion Amanda Nunes in a rematch against the Iron Lady Germaine de Randamie. As the champ waits for her belts, both women more than respectful in this rematch. Amanda Nunes won the first one. Germaine said that she learned so much from that loss. Has been on a tear lately. Of course, she is the first ever featherweight champion. People forget that when her win over Holly Holm. Has the win over Raquel Pennington, a win over Aspen Ladd, and now she is getting a rematch against champion Amanda Nunes. Second championship fight of the night, longtime featherweight champion Max Holloway squares off against number one contender Alexander Volkanovski. Or as people would call Max Holloway, the face of Canadian MMA. He's headlined 4 cards coming off that decision win over Frankie Edgar, UFC 240 in Edmonton. Alexander Volkanovski coming off that decision win over Jose Aldo in Jose Aldo's hometown of Rio de Janeiro. So it's a no-brainer that he would get the number one contender fight. He's adamant that Max Holloway's never faced someone with the power that he has. So that one up, you'd have to favor Max Holloway, but Alexander Volkanovski is definitely not out of the fight. And then the main event, welterweight champion Kamaru Usman squaring off against Colby Covington. And that's it, the main event. Kamaru Usman plays his welterweight title line against former interim champion Colby Covington.